"Get inside, it's freezing out here," said a man's voice from the street, firm, then gentle. "Please, bring the kids in. There's warmth and food waiting." And that's how one act of kindness on Christmas Eve changed 5 lives forever. Before we dive in, drop a comment with where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Let's begin. Snow drifted softly through the glow of the city's Christmas lights, wrapping the sidewalks in quiet silver. Jack Reynolds pulled his coat tighter as he and his 8-year-old daughter, Emma, hurried down Main Street. They'd stopped at Parker's Bakery, their yearly Christmas Eve ritual, to buy cinnamon rolls for the neighbors. Emma pressed her mittened hands to the frosted glass. "Dad," she whispered, "look." Across the street, a woman stood with 2 small girls beside her, twins, maybe 6, clutching a cardboard sign that read, "Anything helps. Merry Christmas." The woman's cheeks were red from cold, her coat far too thin, and her eyes darted toward the bakery window like someone trying not to hope. Jack felt a pull in his chest. "Stay here, sweetheart," he said softly. Crossing the street, he approached with calm warmth. "Ma'am, come inside. It's too cold for little ones out here." The woman hesitated. "We'll be all right. I just lost our motel room this morning. I'm trying to get enough for tonight." Jack smiled gently. "Then tonight's on me." Inside the bakery, the smell of sugar and cinnamon wrapped around them like a blanket. Emma waved the twins over to the table and started telling them about her Christmas pancakes. The woman finally relaxed enough to speak. "I'm Natalie Brooks," she said quietly. "These are my girls, Lily and Nora." Jack nodded. "Jack Reynolds. And that's Emma, my head chef." For the first time all evening, Natalie smiled. It wasn't the smile of someone saved, it was the fragile smile of someone starting to believe in kindness again. The bakery's windows fogged as warmth filled the room. The girls sat together at the small corner table, sharing cocoa topped with mountains of whipped cream. Emma leaned close to the twins, whispering secrets about how marshmallows taste better if you save the last one for a wish. Natalie wrapped her chilled hands around the cup misses. Parker, the bakery owner, had quietly refilled twice. She hadn't felt heat like this in weeks, not the kind that came from kindness. Jack returned with a tray of pastries and a teasing grin. "Now, it's official, the annual Christmas pancake rehearsal has begun." Natalie blinked. "Christmas pancake rehearsal?" Emma giggled. "We test pancakes the night before Christmas to make sure Santa approves." Jack winked. "House rule." Laughter spilled across the table, light and unforced. For a brief moment, Natalie's shoulders dropped, her guard melting with the frost. Jack studied her, not out of pity, but out of concern. "You said you lost your motel room?" Natalie nodded, voice low. "I clean offices part-time. They let us stay there for a week, but the manager rented it out this morning. I've been trying to find somewhere else, but everything's booked for the holiday." Jack exchanged a look with Emma, who gave a tiny nod like a silent agreement between partners. "Then it's settled," he said. "You'll come to our place tonight. We'll call it emergency pancake duty." Natalie hesitated, tears threatening. "I can't ask you to do that." "You're not asking," Jack said softly. "We're inviting." Snow was falling thicker now, dancing under the streetlights as Jack pulled his old pickup to the curb. Natalie hesitated before climbing in, clutching her daughter's small hands. The twins' cheeks were pink from the cold, their breath fogging against the windows. "Don't worry," Jack said with a reassuring smile as he started the engine. "The heater's a little slow, but it's got heart." Emma twisted around from the front seat to face the twins. "Dad makes pancakes that look like reindeer," she boasted proudly. "He burns the ears sometimes, but they're still good." Nora giggled. "My mom used to make snowman pancakes." Jack glanced at Natalie. "Guess tonight's a joint mission, then, reindeer meets snowman." As the truck rumbled through the quiet streets, Natalie looked out at the glowing houses, families gathered around trees, windows filled with light. It had been years since she'd felt part of something like that. Jack's house sat at the edge of town, a modest two-bedroom place trimmed with string lights Emma had hung herself. When he opened the door, the scent of pine and cinnamon wrapped around them. A half-decorated tree leaned slightly in the corner, its star crooked but shining. "Home sweet almost finished home," Jack said. Natalie knelt to unbutton her daughter's coats. "Girls, say thank you to Mr. Reynolds and Emma." "Thank you," they chorused. Jack shook his head gently. "No need. Just help us with the pancake rehearsal, and we'll call it even." For the first time that night, Natalie laughed, soft and genuine, and it echoed through the house like music Jack hadn't realized he'd been missing. The kitchen filled with the smell of batter and cocoa, the steady hum of laughter softening the edges of the storm outside. Emma stood on her step stool, wielding a whisk like a magician's wand. The twins giggled as she drew smiley faces in the flour dusted on the counter. Natalie tried to help, but Jack waved her off with mock seriousness. "You're an honored guest, not kitchen staff." "Please," she said, half laughing. "I've cleaned enough offices to earn at least pancake-stirring privileges." Jack chuckled, handing her the spoon. "Then it's a partnership. You mix, I flip." As she stirred the batter, Natalie caught herself humming, an old carol she hadn't realized she remembered. The girls sang the chorus, their voices overlapping in joyful chaos. When the first pancake hit the pan, the air filled with the buttery hiss of nostalgia. Jack shaped one like a heart, another like a lopsided snowman. "See," he said, lifting it triumphantly. "Perfectly imperfect." "That's our specialty," Emma said proudly. They gathered around the small wooden table, the fire crackling in the background. Plates of uneven but warm pancakes disappeared faster than Jack could make them. For dessert, Emma brought out the red envelope the bakery owner, Mrs. Parker, had slipped into Jack's pocket. "Can we open it now?" she asked. Jack nodded. Inside was a grocery gift card and a handwritten note, "Pass it on when you can. Merry Christmas, from someone who believes in small miracles." Natalie stared at the message, blinking back tears. "People like that still exist," she whispered. Jack met her gaze quietly. "They do. Sometimes they just need a reason to show up." The fire burned low, painting the walls in soft gold. The children, full and sleepy, sprawled on the rug beneath the tree, their laughter fading into whispers. Emma showed the twins how to fold paper snowflakes, cutting carefully with dull scissors until the floor was littered with tiny white stars. Natalie watched them from the couch, her hands wrapped around a steaming mug. "They haven't laughed like that in months," she murmured. "It's been a long time since I've seen them be children." Jack sat across from her, resting his elbows on his knees. "Kids are tougher than we think," he said gently. "They just need to know they're safe. That someone's looking out for them." She nodded, eyes glistening in the firelight. "You barely know us, and yet you've done more than most." Jack smiled faintly. "I've been where you are, wondering how to stretch one good day into two. Someone helped me once. Said the only rule was to keep the chain of kindness going." Just then, headlights glowed outside, cutting across the snow. A gentle knock sounded at the door. Jack opened it to find a woman in a bright red coat holding two large paper bags. "Sorry to drop in so late," she said, smiling warmly. "I'm Caroline Foster. I volunteer with the bakery's community fund. Mrs. Parker called, said there was a family who could use a little Christmas help." Natalie rose, startled. We didn't ask for." Caroline interrupted softly. "You didn't have to. The town decided to pass it forward." She handed Natalie an envelope. Inside was a week's stay at the Maple Inn and a prepaid grocery card. Natalie pressed the paper to her chest, tears spilling freely now. "I don't know how to thank you." Caroline smiled. You already have, by reminding us why we do this. Snow fell steady and quiet outside as the night deepened. The girls had fallen asleep in a tangle of blankets near the fire, Emma's arm draped protectively over one of the twins, their breaths slow and peaceful. Natalie stood at the doorway, the envelope still in her hand. I keep waiting to wake up, she said softly. Every day lately has felt like a test I was failing, and now this, her voice broke. Jack stepped beside her, lowering his voice. Maybe it's not a test. Maybe it's just life showing you that not every door stays closed. She smiled faintly, tears slipping down her cheeks. You make it sound simple. He shrugged gently. Simple doesn't mean easy. For a moment, silence stretched between them, warm and understanding. The kind that didn't need to be filled. Jack glanced toward the tree, the crooked star still shining bravely at the top. Looks like we passed the pancake rehearsal, he said quietly. Natalie laughed through her tears. You and Emma saved our Christmas. He shook his head. No. You just reminded us what it's for. She looked back at her daughters, their faces soft in the firelight. Tomorrow morning, when they wake up, they'll think it's the best Christmas ever. It will be, Jack said. Because it's honest. Natalie turned to him, her eyes full of quiet gratitude. I'll find a way to pay this forward, I promise. Jack smiled. Then the miracle keeps moving. Outside, the snow kept falling, not harsh this time, but gentle, like the world itself had decided to forgive a little. Inside, kindness had done what it always did best, it turned strangers into family. The first light of dawn slipped through the curtains, touching the living room in gold. The fire had burned to soft embers, and the scent of pancakes lingered like a promise. Jack stood quietly in the kitchen, flipping the first batch of the morning while Emma set the table with the care of a young hostess. Do you think they'll like the surprise? She whispered. He smiled, nodding toward the stack of neatly wrapped gifts, small things they'd found around the house, a scarf Emma had outgrown, a pair of mittens, and one brand new box of crayons Jack had picked up months ago. They'll love it, he said. Because it's from the heart. Moments later, soft footsteps approached. Natalie appeared, still wearing the oversized sweater Emma had insisted she borrow. Her eyes were puffy but bright. You made breakfast again? House tradition, Jack said. Christmas morning calls for extra pancakes. Behind her, the twins ran in, squealing with delight at the sight of the table. Is this for us? It's for all of us, Emma said proudly. You can't have Christmas alone. Natalie covered her mouth, overwhelmed. You didn't have to. Jack interrupted gently, sliding a plate toward her. We wanted to. They sat together, laughter filling the house again. When the girls tore open their simple gifts, their joy was so pure it made Natalie's voice catch. They'll never forget this, she said quietly. Jack looked around at the warm room, the laughter, the light, and shook his head with a soft smile. Neither will I. After breakfast, the house was alive with the quiet chaos of children's laughter. Emma and the twins built a blanket fort near the tree, their giggles echoing like bells. Natalie helped Jack clear the table, though he protested half-heartedly. Guests don't do dishes on Christmas morning, he said. Then call me family, she replied with a smile, handing him a rinsed plate. He froze for half a second, the word family hanging in the air like something fragile and beautiful. I can do that, he said softly. Natalie reached for her coat on the chair and noticed the red envelope sitting beside it again. She held it up. You never told me what the note said. Jack wiped his hands on a towel. I didn't read it all last night. Thought maybe we could open it together. They sat at the table, the paper trembling slightly in her fingers. She unfolded the small card inside, her breath catching as she read aloud. Every Christmas miracle begins with one person deciding not to look away. For a moment, the only sound was the crackle of the fire. Natalie's eyes shimmered. That's exactly what you did, she whispered. Jack shook his head. I just did what anyone should. Then maybe more people should be like you, she said quietly. Because you changed everything for us. Emma peeked out from the blanket fort, grinning. Mom says when you help someone, you're part of their story forever. Jack looked at Natalie, a small, thoughtful smile on his face. Then I guess this story's still being written. And for the first time in a long while, Natalie believed that maybe hers would have a hopeful ending. The afternoon sun melted the frost from the windows, turning the snow outside into soft glitter. Natalie sat by the fire, her twins curled up against her sides, their new crayons spread across a page torn from Jack's old notepad. They were drawing pancakes with smiling faces. Jack brought over 2 mugs of hot chocolate, setting one in front of her. Fuel for the artists, he said. Natalie chuckled, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. You know, I used to think kindness was something people only did when it was easy. But you've proved it's more like a decision. He sat across from her, thoughtful. I learned that a long time ago. After Emma's mom passed, people showed up. Some didn't even know me, they just helped. I never forgot it. Her gaze softened. And you passed it on. Jack shrugged. That's how good things survive, people keep them moving. The twins finished their drawing and proudly held it up. It was a messy, colorful picture of everyone sitting around a table, pancakes, cocoa, and all. Across the top, in uneven letters, they'd written, "Thank you for saving our Christmas." Natalie's eyes filled again. I don't have much to give back, she said. But I promise, when I can, I'll be that person for someone else. Jack raised his mug gently. Then that's all I could ever ask for. Outside, a faint chime from the church bells drifted through the crisp air. Inside, laughter rose once more, the kind that carried hope with it, steady and real. And in that small, glowing house, kindness had come full circle. Evening settled over the city again, soft and golden. The storm had passed, leaving rooftops dusted with calm. Jack stood by the window, watching Emma and the twins chase each other in the yard, their laughter carried on the cold air. Natalie joined him, pulling her borrowed sweater tighter. They'll sleep well tonight, she said with a smile. They earned it, Jack replied. Judging pancake contests is serious work. She laughed, a sound lighter than he'd heard before. You've done more for us than you realize. You gave my girls a memory that doesn't hurt. He turned toward her, eyes kind. You gave my daughter something too, proof that Christmas isn't about gifts, it's about people showing up. Natalie looked out at the snowy yard. When we leave for the inn tomorrow, I'll write a letter to Mrs. Parker. I want her to know how far her small act traveled. She'll like that, Jack said. And she'll probably stick another red envelope under someone's plate next year. Natalie smiled softly. Then the miracle keeps moving. As the girls finally tumbled back inside, cheeks glowing, Jack reached for the red envelope still resting on the mantel. He set it beside the small wooden nativity on the table. Every Christmas miracle begins with one person deciding not to look away, he read aloud once more. Natalie nodded, eyes glistening. You looked. Jack smiled, glancing at his daughter and the twins laughing together. No, he said gently. We all did. And in that quiet, glowing house, surrounded by warmth, laughter, and love, it was clear, the greatest gifts weren't wrapped at all. They were the people who showed up exactly when they were needed most. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe for more stories that stay with you.